Hey there. Are you ready to stop holding yourself back and start pursuing what you truly want? You're in the right place because today we're diving into how to conquer self-doubt and finally go after the life you've been dreaming about. So get comfortable, let go of any second guessing, and prepare to explore some powerful steps that will help you break free from doubt and build real confidence. Your goals are waiting, and it's time to chase them, starting right now. But before we jump in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Ready? Let's go. Understanding the weight of self-doubt. Before we explore how to eliminate self-doubt, let's first take a moment to really understand what we're dealing with. Self-doubt may seem like just a few hesitant thoughts, but it's more powerful than we often realize. It can creep in like a thick fog, making it hard to see the path to what we truly desire. Before we know it, we're second-guessing every step we take. The thing about self-doubt is that it doesn't come out of nowhere, and it won't go away until we're willing to face it. It often shows up in the form of questions we'd rather avoid. What if I'm not good enough? What if I make a fool of myself? What if this doesn't work? These aren't random thoughts. They're deeply rooted and come from various sources: past experiences, the voices of others, and even societal pressures. The longer we let these thoughts sit unchallenged, the stronger they grow, eventually defining our limits and putting invisible walls around what we believe we can achieve. Think of it like carrying a heavy backpack. At first, you may not even notice it, but over time, the weight becomes unbearable, slowing you down and making each step harder. It doesn't stop you completely, but it makes every move more difficult, and eventually you start questioning if it's all worth it. Many people reach this point and convince themselves they're just not cut out for their dreams, but the truth is, they never got a fair shot because the weight of that doubt held them back every step of the way. It's easy to see why self-doubt feels so heavy. We live in a world that demands perfection, that encourages us to stand out and be the best. Social media makes it seem like everyone else has it all figured out, and comparison only deepens that feeling of inadequacy. We begin to think that because we have doubts, maybe we're not like those who achieve their dreams, or that confidence is a trait only a few lucky people are born with. But here's the truth. Everyone feels doubt. Every successful person you admire has faced moments, or even years, of self-doubt. The difference is, they didn't let it define them. Self-doubt also stems from past experiences, those times we tried and didn't succeed, when we were criticized or dismissed. These moments leave marks on us, and over time, we internalize them, believing they prove we're incapable. It's like collecting stones in a bag. One small failure might not mean much, but as they accumulate, they start to feel heavy. We begin to think those past failures represent our future, but in reality, they were just isolated events. They don't define your limits unless you allow them to. It's like collecting stones in a bag. One small failure might not mean much, but as they accumulate, they start to feel heavy. We begin to think those past failures represent our future, but in reality, they were just isolated events. They don't define your limits unless you allow them to. The role of fear. Fear is the close companion of self-doubt, inseparable from it. When we think about chasing our true desires, fear jumps in with all the what-ifs. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of wasting time, fear of judgment. These are just some of the reasons we hold ourselves back. But this fear isn't there to protect us. It's there to keep us in the familiar, to keep us in our comfort zone. Yet that comfort zone is an illusion. By staying there, we don't avoid failure, we avoid growth. And by avoiding growth, we avoid discovering what we're truly capable of. So how can you recognize self-doubt when it shows up? Start by paying attention to the ways you hold back. what you tell yourself you can't do or shouldn't try. Self-doubt often manifests in negative self-talk like, "I'm not talented enough," or "someone else would do it better." Listen closely to the excuses you make for staying in your comfort zone. Maybe next year, when I'm more prepared, or it's just not the right time. These are all subtle ways self-doubt convinces you to settle for less. The longer you listen to them, the more convincing they sound. But here's the good news. Self-doubt isn't a permanent condition. It may feel like an innate part of who you are, but it's really just a layer you've built over time. Beneath that layer is the part of you that's capable of achieving your goals. Self-doubt is just one version of your story, a habit you've developed, but it can be changed. Think of it like peeling back layers of an onion to reveal your true potential, unburdened by fear or limitation. As you begin to recognize self-doubt for what it is, something you don't have to carry, you'll start to see the possibilities that were hidden beneath it. The roots of self-doubt. Self-doubt doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It has deep roots. Understanding where it comes from is a crucial step toward weakening its hold on you. Think of self-doubt like a persistent weed in a garden. At some point, a seed was planted, maybe from a comment someone made, an experience that didn't go as planned, or an expectation that felt too heavy. Over time, that seed took root and, if left unchecked, it can take over the garden of your mind, pushing out confidence and hope. For many, self-doubt starts in childhood. Perhaps a teacher once said, "Not everyone is good at math," or "Some people just aren't born artists." These seemingly small comments plant seeds that grow into beliefs about ourselves. Even our families, with their well-intentioned advice, can unknowingly contribute to our self-doubt. Maybe you should have a backup plan, or don't aim too high. These words may be meant to protect us, but over time they can foster a mindset that's more cautious than courageous. Then there are the times we've tried and failed. Each setback, each time we didn't achieve what we hoped, adds another root in the soil of self-doubt. Instead of seeing these as isolated incidents, we internalize them as proof of our limitations. But the truth is, failure isn't evidence of who you are. It's just part of your journey. It's how you respond that shapes your future. Reframing failure and risk. Failure and risk often feel like the biggest obstacles on the road to our goals. They stand like towering walls in front of us, making us hesitate. But what if we saw them differently? Think of failure not as the end, but as a stepping stone. Risk isn't a threat, it's a bridge. These aren't barriers, they're pathways, each marking the beginning of a new chapter in your journey. Every successful person you admire has faced failure. No one reaches success without it. When you dig deeper into their stories, you'll find a series of setbacks, disappointments, and challenges they had to overcome. The difference is they didn't let failure define them. Instead, they used it as a learning experience, a place to gather insights and grow stronger. Risk, too, isn't something to fear. It's an investment in your potential. It's a leap into the unknown. And while there's no guarantee, there's also no progress without it. Embrace risk as a statement of belief in what could be, rather than an irrational jump into danger. Listening to your inner compass. Deep down, each of us has an inner compass, a quiet but steady guide pointing us toward what we truly want. It's that spark you feel when you imagine living life on your own terms, the pull that arises when you picture doing what truly matters to you. But when self-doubt and external pressures overwhelm us, that compass can feel buried. Reconnecting with it means learning to trust your own voice above the noise. Your inner compass is built from your deepest values, desires, and strengths. When you follow it, you align your life not with what others expect, but with what resonates with you. It's your path forward, and it's always been within you. Practical steps to overcome self-doubt. Breaking free from self-doubt doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with small, intentional actions. The key is not waiting until you feel ready. There's rarely a perfect moment. Start with one small step, whether it's beginning a project, making a call, or writing that first page. Once you start moving, self-doubt begins to fade. Practice self-compassion along the way. We're often our harshest critics, but growth involves mistakes. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, and remind yourself that everyone struggles. By celebrating small wins and building momentum, you'll weaken the grip of self-doubt and start to build lasting confidence. The journey ahead, the road to overcoming self-doubt and going after what you truly want, isn't straight. It's winding, with both clarity and doubt along the way. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a vote of confidence in yourself. You don't need to have it all figured out to start. The key is to begin, even when fear is present. The journey is uniquely yours, and it's about learning, growing, and embracing imperfections along the way. With each choice to trust yourself, you write a story of resilience, so take that first step. Your potential is waiting, and it begins with you.